Hello friends. It is Monday. It is 9 p.m. I've spent a large portion of today sewing, cleaning, researching, preparing, test running, and generally just working on client commissions and getting ready for the presentation that I am doing for Easter weekend. I'm tired. I feel like my brain might be close to stopping at this point. But as you may have noticed, I have a fresh cup of hot chocolate, and that can only mean one thing: lunacy. So basically I have decided that for this presentation I'm giving, I need a new undertunic. I don't actually need one, but I'm not happy. I'm not happy with my wardrobe as it currently stands. I am always striving for more and more accuracy. I'm striving for better and better quality. I'm also looking just to pad out my wardrobe some more. Let's face it, living the Viking lifestyle all the time requires lots of clothes. And so days like today, we go without. But if I get more in my wardrobe, that happens less and less. So my general plan at this stage is to at least have a new undertunic by Friday, the day before the presentation. I really don't want to be working on this the day off. That is stressful. So why do I want a new undertunic? Well, first and foremost, accuracy. As I said, I'm always striving for more and more accuracy. And what that entails in this instance is looking at ways that I can improve the authenticity. As you know, I strive to look at the Hiberno Norse, so the Vikings that moved across to Ireland, and generally the Viking Age as a whole. With textile finds being so few and far between, with specifically Hiberno Norse as the scope, I do have to look further abroad. I do look at the Norwegian finds and some of the other finds where the evidence is slightly lacking. For undertunics, the base layer, other than undergarments, might be kind of quintessential to what we think of as the Viking kit. All of my tunics thus far have been made of white linen. Nothing wrong with that in the grand scheme of things. It's very common. It's widely used in a lot of reenactment. But it doesn't sit well with me. And it doesn't sit well with me for a very big reason. And that is the evidence. The evidence we have for linen undertunics, both male and female, yes, is not as plentiful as we would like. But of the evidence we do have, of the fragments that may be undergarments and of those garments that we know are made of linen, the majority of them are undyed. So if I'm using white linen underdresses, where's the problem? They're not dyed. No, they're not dyed, but they are bleached. And undyed does not equal bleached. Bleaching in the medieval period, especially the early medieval period and earlier, would have been an expensive and time-consuming process. The majority of the common folk likely did not invest in bleached linen. So, that means I need unbleached linen. And here begins another last-minute scramble. Okay, so what I've decided to do is, in the interest of speeding this along and making it as quickly as I possibly can, because, you know, I'm an idiot who left it to the last minute again. Well, I'm going to be relying on the cutting graph layout, whatever you want to call it, shown on the Herstwick website. This particular layout is efficient, it doesn't waste any fabric, and yet is still going to allow me plenty of room to move, and it's going to be comfortable underneath other garments of various kinds. So that's what I'm going to go with. Normally I'm an advocate of research, and double check all the research. You want primary sources wherever possible. Herstwick, however, is one of those websites that you can reasonably rely on to be generally, basically good. Having said that now, let me also reiterate the fact that a lot of our evidence is scraps of fabric at best, so even those interpretations we know are going to be subject to a lot of educated guessing. You're very lucky if you come across something like the Viking shirt that's mostly intact and is pretty self-evident in how it went together. A lot of what we have from female Viking graves is scraps where we can't see seams. If we can see seams, we have very little context in which to know where those seams are from. Or we have remnants that, because of the metals corroding in the soil, fragments have attached to those in the salts and are preserved that way. It's not a lot of solid evidence. So as much as, yes, I would like to do a deep dive into this, that's a project for another day. For today, I'm using Herstwick's layout and I'm going to try and get this done. So this fabric was already folded lengthways to begin with, which makes my life a little bit easier. Everything will be symmetrical. I've taken the length from my shoulder, where the seam would normally sit, over the bust down to the floor, and that for me is 140 centimeters. So what I did was I measured out 140 centimeters from the straight, not from the very edge, but from where it'll be straightest, along that edge. So 140 centimeters from the straight edge. I've folded it along that 140 centimeter mark on itself, and this is going to form the body of the tunic. What I need to do now is press it. I need to get all of these wrinkles out so that everything sits nicely while I cut it. It's still got some of these folds from where it's been sitting in storage, so I just need to make sure I get those out, and then we are good to start marking and cutting. It is currently 7 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 6. I went to bed about 11:30. It wasn't a terribly late night. But no one should be awake before the sun. It just seems evil. It's unnatural. To anyone out there who does regularly get up or stays up in the stupid hours of the morning, kudos to you. I can't do it. So not a morning person. The good thing is, it's really quiet at the moment. Just the birds in the trees and the occasional car going by. But now I am awake, I have eaten, I have a fresh cup of goodness, and that means it's time to be productive. So, because I still have a couple of hours before I clock on for the day, I'm going to work on the under tunic a little bit more, the Serk, and see how far I can get in the next couple of hours. So all I want to do here is figure out which of these edges is on the straight grain and which of these are on the bias, so that I can line up the next lot of gauze with the opposite type of edge. So I want straight grain to bias edge when I'm lining up these pieces together before I sew them. Then it's time to grab my trusty linen thread, my beeswax and my needle, and to start hand sewing this thing. This is Irish linen thread that I'm using and a small chunk of Australian unfiltered beeswax. I like to press my seams flat once I've stitched them so that it makes the felling process a little bit easier. And I like to fold under and iron what I'm going to be felling as well. It just makes things a little bit easier when I go to do those long seams. Alright, it is now 9:30. Got a little bit carried away. I got the side seams in the gauze in the side of the skirt sewn up. Seams sewn and also felled. So those are done. I now need to clock on and do my actual work. So I'm going to have to pick this up again after work this evening. But I think what I need to do next is I'm going to add some extra gauze. It's not authentic to the Herstwick pattern, but I do like a little bit extra movement, and because of the width of fabric and all that I have to play with, the gauze as they were, even though they're two pieces sewn together, still a little bit restrictive. So I'm going to add some extra gauze in this, so I'll actually have 4 gauze, essentially 4 panels of gauze, in the side of my skirts on this tunic, 4 on each side. Hopefully all of that works and is fine. But yeah, for now, I need to get on with work. So suffice it to say, we got there in the end. I did in fact end up with a fully functional new tunic. I wore it in the live stream video. In case you haven't caught that, you can find it. Oh boy, that took a fair bit of effort and a very, very late night just beforehand, and perhaps maybe still working on it in the hours leading up to. It would probably be a bit neglectful of me to mention that I was still sewing it during Rosalie's presentation that day too. But it's done and fully felled, fully functional. All of that is done, so I can now put it to rest. Having said that, there's probably only one thing I would like to change about it, and that is this neckline. In and of itself is actually quite nice. I like the height it sits both front and back. But I noticed that when I am wearing more layers, not just my apron dress or an over tunic on itself, but once I get to like the coat layers, it does, like, all the layers seem to pull funny, and this does end up sitting up quite high. So I may drop this a centimetre or 2. I'm not sure about that one yet, but for now, it's doing all right. It did really well. I'm quite happy with the width of the sleeves here. It looks quite loose at the moment, but the whole point of having it this loose was that I would be able to bring it up so that I could work on my dye pots, and that worked really well. So I didn't get any dye stains on my sleeves, which I'm quite happy about. Yeah. I'd like to say I'm not going to do it again, but chances are I will. Almost every single time, both now in the physical and the virtual worlds, there is an event, I will be making something last minute. You'd think I would learn. So what's coming up next? There have been some really exciting new developments in the research that me and my friend Louise have managed to get our hands on, which means that I will be able to explore some new textile stuff. Can't promise when all that sort of stuff's going to happen, because there's still more research and stuff that's being delivered to me, more stuff that I've ordered online. There's a whole lot of stuff going on at the moment in the background, so I can't promise when all this stuff's going on, but we've made some progress, and there's some really exciting stuff happening, and the sun has just changed my lighting again. It'll go behind another cloud in a minute. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff. I can't even begin to tell you how much stuff has been happening offline and off camera, but I'm super excited. I'm super stoked, and I'm really, really keen to share it all with you, because given how much of a struggle it's been for us to get our hands on it, I can imagine how much of a struggle it is for everyone else, and I want to share all this with you. So bear with me. It will happen over time. There will be more coming soon. Let me know in the comments whether or not you want to be along for the whole discovery journey, or whether or not you just want to see the end results of all of our research and our reconstructions and things like that. That way I know what sort of videos to produce for you. Otherwise, on to the next one. For those of you curious about some of the dyes that I was prepping and experimenting with in that live stream video, yes, I am still ongoing using those dye baths on my yarns, so I will be able to show all of you those beautiful colours, probably across on Instagram. So as always, if you want to keep up with all that backstage stuff, all the stuff that's happening off video, yeah, feel free to hit us up on the Instagram or on the Facebook page, and that way you'll see all the little details that I don't necessarily record on camera. Okay, so this year's schedule for videos has kind of been thrown out the window. Obviously, we understand there's a lot of craziness happening at the moment, and so that has changed the fact that we can't actually go to historical reenactment events or similar sort of community events. That means that some of my slots for videos have suddenly opened up. I am one of those people that likes to plan out what sort of videos I'm going to be putting out, and I had 5 slots allocated for videos about reenactment events that now I can't fill for this year. So what I thought I would do is I would throw to you, the viewer, as to what sort of videos you'd like me to put out. Is there any sort of piece of evidence that you think I might have an idea about that I could talk about and explore with you? Is there perhaps some techniques you'd like me to demonstrate? Is there something completely not historically related you'd like to see? Just hit me up in the comments. I really want to hear from you as to what you think I could use those slots for. This whole channel is put together with you, the viewer, in mind. It's not just me talking about myself and all the things that I like to do. I'm not that egotistical. What I would like to do with this channel is to make it a resource for the viewers, particularly reenactors and LARPers with a historical slant. So for those of you in those categories, I'm really keen to hear from you. But this video is done. This tunic is finished, at least until the night before the next event. I hope you're all staying happy and healthy at home if possible, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.